Building a brand isn't easy, and today I'm here with somebody that did it very, very well. It's Forrest Walden, the CEO and founder of Iron Tribe Fitness. Forrest is awesome. He's one of the most genuine, nicest guys I've met, and on top of that, he has a really good understanding of not only marketing, but culture development. And we recently had president of Iron Tribe Fitness, Karen Broadwater, on, and I've really learned that these two work extremely well together. In this particular conversation with Forrest, we talked a lot about building this brand. And that included stuff like, how does he build his team, his coaches? How does he keep them for as long as he does? Also, with his salespeople, how does he run and execute sales training? What about ancillary sales? How do you decide what you're going to have and how do you sell it? And also, what to look for in a studio manager. It's an important one because this person is in charge of that entire facility. If you get the wrong manager on, everything below really falls away. But if you do it right and you get the right person in, man, that facility, you don't have to worry about it. It just gets better. If anything, you learn things that you could have been doing not only with this location, but now what you can start executing on other locations. And that's what he has with these employees that he has. He's had people here for 10 plus years, and it's very impressive. So we're going to now talk with Forrest and learn more about how he does it at Iron Tribe. What's up, Forrest? Welcome to the GSD Show, but I'm here.
Yeah, welcome back to Birmingham, Alabama.
I love being here. I didn't think I'd say one day in my life, oh man, I love Birmingham. Actually, but I think the only reason I like it is because of you. It's the only time I ever come here is to hang out with you guys. So we're at HQ right now.
We are.
Really quick, before we dive into the awesome stuff that you're doing, because you're one of the smartest franchisors I know. You're really, really great at the marketing. You understand marketing at a great level, culture development. Your team is fantastic. So I want to dive into how you've been able to build really good, profitable locations the way that you have. But before that, what is Iron Tribe? Tell people a little bit about the journey.
Yeah, so Iron Tribe is a group personal training model. We do a large group class that we call Power, and we do a semi-private personal training class that we call Prime. The differentiator is large group is obviously, as you know, there's one workout scaled to many different levels. Our semi-private is very personalized. Each person is on their own program, but they're a class of up to 5.
Okay.
And so we're those 2 programs. We have 9 corporate gyms that we own and operate and an additional 22 franchisees.
And how did this start? Where did this come from?
So my background's in personal training. It's all I've ever done since 1998, actually, and owned a brand called Fitness Together. I was a multi-unit franchisee and then a master franchisee over 3 states.
Okay.
And it was all one-on-one personal training. I saw the industry going more group, and I wanted to convert to group, and Fitness Together did not. So I sold it, everything I built with Fitness Together, back to the corporate office and started with Iron Tribe in 2010 with our first location, not far from where we're sitting now. But it actually started in my garage a couple of years before that, where I was like, I want to do group workouts. I started inviting my friends, my neighbors. It grew to about 20 people come to my garage, and my wife said, "Okay, it's been great, but y'all need to go open something." So that's really where it started.
And is that why I have a garage door behind me? Is that part of it?
You know, yeah, we've ended up putting garage doors, bay doors in all our locations, and so we kept that theme in here as well.
That's pretty cool. All right, so you've got how many locations open right now?
Open 29 with 4 in development.
And you said earlier before we, put the cameras on, we're not just out of COVID, but I mean, like, COVID still has some impact parts of the country as far as people not really being where they were. But you were telling me that some of your franchisees are actually having their best month ever.
Yes.
And what percentage would you say that's around?
I know these numbers because our conference is next week, but we're at 45% of the entire brand have had a best month ever in the last 12 months.
So
these are some of these locations have been open 8, 9, 10 years.
So that's not best month ever since COVID. That's best month ever since before COVID, after
Inception,
COVID,
yes.
All that. So what is it that you think is causing that? How do you think, right? Because right now a lot of studios, they're still brainwashed and thinking like, oh man, it's not the same since. I see, because we work with hundreds of gyms. You guys get to see it. We have a lot of people getting their best month ever, but you guys have really found a way to do it within your franchise at a large amount. So what are some of the reasons you think that's kicking in like that?
Yeah, it's obviously not one big thing, right? It's a lot of little moving pieces. I mean, even down to working with your team and really understanding how much more we need to be diligent on PDR and making sure everything was. We just got off an owner's call that you spoke on for a minute, and we were talking about how to have upgrade conversations and how to have paid in full conversations, and how to make sure that's part of the evergreen sales process, but it's also, hey, look for opportunities. I mean, it's just all these moving pieces. But I would say it started with our brand pivot, which was in the depths of COVID when you and I really got talking about, where's the industry going and how do we capitalize on it? And that was we had 2 large group models. We took away our HIT program and we said, look, HIT is so saturated. Let's don't even play that ocean anymore. Let's double down on personal training and the barbell, and let's create a semi-private program, because I felt like that was a void in the market space. So that's a higher ticket program, higher level avatar, spending more per month, and really going in all that program has allowed us to drive revenue, which has gotten us to places we've never been before, higher client value.
The #1 CRM and marketing system in the fitness industry is FitPro Tracker. It was created by gym owners for gym owners. See why hundreds of locations are switching over and experiencing rapid success. Check out FitPro Tracker today.
I remember conversations during COVID. One in particular, I remember, if anybody ever can relate to this, because you're trapped at home, can't leave the house. I think I was walking around barefoot around the house talking to you in the sweatpants I've been wearing for 2 days because I've been sleeping on the floor.
And I was in my home office doing the exact same thing. Like, who would know what's going on right now?
Yeah.
I call Mike.
Yeah, that was a good conversation. You mentioned PDRs. Because I don't think really many people talked about on the show. Dive into PDRs, what they are, and how you guys see them in your business.
Yeah, so it's practice, drill, and rehearse. And I think we've always been big on having scripts. I think we've done a poor job of actually putting people on the spot and making them perform the scripts. And as you know, the script is only as good as your ability to use it on the spot in any situation. So when we pivoted into the semi-private, we spent months working through with our entire management team, and at the time Corbin on your team, of let's think of every single obstacle that we're going to encounter when we make this big change, because we were taking a program away.
Right.
We had people say, look, all I ever came for was HIT. I love HIT. Why are you? So, I mean, everything from how to start transitioning them into our power, more barbell-based class, to, okay, how do we take them and put them right into prime, who are most likely to convert, to when someone walks in the door, how do we now rebuild the sales process where we're leading with semi-private and backdoor? So every single scenario, and then we role played, and then we role played. So by the time we launched it, the confidence level and the buy-in to what we were doing was so high. And then every time someone got an objection, we didn't role play. It was like, oh, on the call, here's a new one. And they would say, I heard this today. And we'd role play it. And then, so the amount of collaboration that was going on, there was no surprises. And so then we were able to bundle all that up. And so now we've scaled that program and pivot to the entire brand. Here's the top 10 things that you're going to want to, make sure your team's solid on. And they've been able to execute it even better than us because we kind of hit all the speed bumps.
So for your franchisees, all these people that are actually running these gyms, now that they're in this newer version of what you guys do, what are some of the things that they now like about it? Like, what are their biggest favorite things from this new switch?
There's a couple. I'm going to say the primary reason that drove us was one of our biggest pain points is turnover at the coach level. We've always paid, W-2, salary, benefits, health insurance. We've been at kind of the top of the food chain from our competitors. But I would still get people about a year or two in saying, I need to go get a real job. I'm getting married. I'm this, I'm that. And so how do you raise the average level of what you can pay that coach? With Prime, we had enough margin to do more of a rev share with that coach. And so we're on our second straight year of we did 27% growth from 21 over 20. And then we were another 23%, 22 over 21. So these coaches have seen a massive opportunity to grow. And so when they see, every client that I convert to semi-private, or every client I help stay, or every client I help acquire directly affects my income, their buy-in's huge. They can put braces on their kids. They can make a long-term career. So my franchisees love that because they saw what we did, and now they can go and offer it to their team. Hey, here's why we're making the switch, and it's only going to help you. So that's a huge differentiator for us now. If we have coaches that this is their career, they're not going anywhere. Several who've been with us over 10 years. And now they're able to say, well, I don't ever have to think about leaving. So that was one.
One of the hardest things to do in business is create a better product that you charge more for, where employees make more money and there's still more profit. You got all 4 of those done. That's a hard thing. Like, it's not an easy thing to accomplish when you're looking at a blank page and going, okay, how do we get these 4 things done?
Yep. And you were at our conference last year, and I was able to say, here's everything we said was going to happen, because we spent 18 months getting ready to roll this thing out and did all the research and where is it going. And here's everything that's been accomplished. And again, this year, I'm able to say, here's what I said last year at the conference, and here's where we are. And it's on those same points. There's 3 points I've been talking about for 2 years. It's opportunity in the market space, because everybody's either going all in on training or all in on group fitness. We can hit that sweet spot semi-private. It's opportunity to build our coaches and their future. And then it's opportunity to create better margins for the business. So I've just been hammering those 3 down, and we're able to say now, here's what we've done, because now we've scaled it to the whole brand. We've seen their P&Ls now, not just ours, and the same things are happening. So they love that about the coach aspect, and then they love that they can work with a higher level avatar because they're spending more, right? You want someone to get attention, get them to pay, right? They pay, pay attention. And we can work with people that we weren't able to work with before. Whether it's around injuries or an older population. I mean, we're doing really right now with 50 plus. Now, so we ran a Fit Over 50 campaign, and we put those people straight into our semi-private. And we always struggle with that demographic, because when you try to push them into large group, they can get lost, they get intimidated. So that's been great. And when they're paying, $4.99 to $5.99 to $6.99, depending on how long they sign up for a month, it's a great avatar. And we have found lower attrition in that higher spend avatar than in our group model.
Cool, because you pay more attention, you get better results. So what would you say your average client, and it's probably tough because you got a lot of legacy clients probably as well, but I would say in the next year, what would you say the average client is probably going to be at, and what's it at today?
Well, we've corrected the legacy stuff. We did a price increase in November. So I would say group, we're at $219, and semi-private, we're at $599.
And what's the blended average?
So blended, we're in the high 300s.
So like 380?
Mm-hmm.
And then what's your attrition, your average attrition?
Yeah, we bounce somewhere between 4% and 6%, but on average, we're right at 5%.
So it's a 5% churn. So you're keeping people for 20 months for 380. So you're talking 7,600 is what the average lifetime value is for a member at Iron Tribe. 7,600, right? The average gym right now is in the 1s or 2s.
Mm-hmm.
The average gym right now, 150, 160 a month, call it 160. And they're keeping people, their average attrition. Right now, the average attrition is like 12%. Average. Now, the best are 4 to 6, but average is 12. But let's call it 10. You're only hanging on to people for 10 months.
Yep.
So, by the way, for anybody listening, the formula is take the number 1 divided by your attrition percentage, and that's how many months you can assume you've retained people for if you keep that average going. So you're talking 160 a month times 10 months at $1,600 versus $7,600. You're talking a very big difference in lifetime value and what you guys are able to get with that. How much easier is it for you guys to justify paying people better, spending more on marketing, improving the facility? What does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, when you understand money math, first of all, you're willing to spend way more to acquire a customer.
Of course.
And I can spend more than a competitor because of that, right? Not only the initial pay, but then the
4 to 5 times more.
That's exactly right. And Dan Kennedy always said, he who can pay the most to acquire a customer wins.
Yep.
And I think it's true. But we can just constantly reinvest in the space. And so, like right now, we're replacing all of our bikes in our corporate gyms. We're replacing our crash mats. We did a full brand renovation 2 years ago. It's just constantly adding back. And you have the margin to do that. And it's just a huge differentiator.
It's funny. We were talking before we started filming about ChatGPT. There's a really cool tool that I like using with ChatGPT. You can go, hey, my current attrition is 5%. My lifetime value is $7,600. My average member pays $380 a month. How could I get my lifetime value to $8,500 if I didn't plan on improving the churn? What would I have to increase my dollar per member per month to? and it'll give you that math. And then you could say, great, what if I didn't plan on increasing my pricing, but I wanted to just improve churn to get it to that number? And it would do that too. So for anybody looking to get some easy math done, that's a really great way, because for us, for me personally too, and my COO, we're like, how do we get that lifetime value up? And it's always around getting people to pay more and stay longer. It's really what it comes down to, right? So what's the vision for Iron Tribe? Like, you got 29 open right now. You have any sold on top of that?
Yeah, there's 4 that are currently in development.
So you got 4 more in development.
Yes.
What's the vision? And I don't know if you're a 3-year guy, a 5-year guy, a 10-year guy, or a 1-year guy. What does it look like for you?
Yeah, so we just had our annual offsite. We have an EOS implementer.
Yep.
And we revisited our 3, 5, and 10, except we didn't do a 10, we did a 7, because there's just something great about 2030. Yeah. So I'll just give you the BHAG, and it's to be a $100 million brand by 2030.
Wow. Now, how are we getting to a 100 million valuation or 100 million revenue?
Brand-wide revenue.
In a year.
In a year.
And what are going to be the variables that get us to 100 million? Like, is it, yeah, actually, I'll just let you answer directly.
Well, ultimately, it's just a average unit volume play. How many locations do we need to have open doing what type of average unit volume? So we're close to $600,000 right now as it stands. In average unit volume, so we need to get that up more in the 700 and 800s, but ultimately it's just a play for us of getting more gyms open. So it's got to be a big sales growth on the franchise side. We have goal to sell 12 this year and then ramp it from there.
Yeah, that's really good. What percentage of your business is coming from like ancillary sales, and whether that's supplements, retail? What does that look like for you?
For our corporate gyms, it's right around 10%. For our franchisees, it's around 6%, and that's a focus. We're trying to get them to go more all in on sales on the product side.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, like the patterns we've seen too, the people that have that 10% plus have a higher attrition or lower attrition. They're retaining people for a lot longer. And I get it. I don't know about you. I know it's BS. I know it. But if I don't take certain supplements, I feel like I'm not getting the best workout today. Is that weird? No, even though I know that's not true. And honestly, it's as simple as a watch. If I forget my watch, I'm like, oh man, I'm not tracking my workout today. It's weird, but even if you know the game, it still messes with you. And who cares? At the end of the day, supplements obviously do give you the things that you're not going to get through regular food, but also mentally, there's something great about somebody that's going, okay, I'm all in. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. When it comes to supplement sales, do you guys sell that in the front end when someone first joins? Do you have a system for that in order to make sure? What's that look like?
Yeah, so typically we don't try to do it in the sales presentation. We do it on their first onboarding meeting.
Okay.
So that's a big part of the process. And a lot of assumptive closes in that. It's like, hey, Mike, so pretty much everyone takes protein here. What flavor would you like, so I can set that back? Just things that are just part of the process, and that's how we do it here. And then the coaches, they're invested in it because we have them taking the product too. And one of our best sellers was a ground up swell. The coaches saying, we want to carry this brand. And so there's such a high buy-in to that because they were customers.
They loved it.
They loved it. And so, of course, these clients look up to their coaches and they see them drinking that brand. They want that brand. So it's a buy-in from the coaches and then a conviction that it's not sale. It's no different than writing their program, having them on the right supplements, because we fought for a long time of them really feeling like, okay, when I make a recommendation on supplements, now I've stepped over into sales. But if I tell them to do, a deadlift or a squat, I'm helping.
Yeah.
And so I really feel like we've done a good job of them understanding that they're both serving.
Yeah.
And they're both important. So the coaches selling, it has been a huge part.
Well, yeah, because that's your leader.
That's right.
You follow the leader. The leader gives you instructions, 20 push-ups, 20 push-ups. Coming here 3 days a week. I'm coming in 3 days a week. Have you guys ever heard of Element? It's like the little packets, and it's like salt, sodium, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Magnesium.
My daughter takes it.
So there's a couple gyms that are, I take it too, and it's great. A couple gyms that are actually boosting their protein sales by actually selling that in addition. Because if you add the chocolate salt one to any chocolate protein shake, you're eating a salted chocolate chip cookie. It made every protein shake I've ever drank better. but also now they're pushing more product. Not only the salt, but they're also pushing the protein because people become addicted to it. I need one a day. That's my sugar. That's my sweet tooth.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a really cool one. I wondered how that would work for you guys. So right now, what does your leadership team look like? Everyone at HQ, how many people do you have on the HQ team?
So we have 9 corporate managers, and they are completely responsible for their P&L for that location. They do it all.
Okay.
We also give them additional responsibilities above and beyond the gym that they're anchored to. So they hold, so for example, Abby, who you know well, she actually runs,
And she's having a baby now.
she's having a baby.
Yeah.
She was here this morning. We were joking if she was here to see you, and she didn't know you were coming. So, but she runs our brand-wide sales call because she's amazing at sales. And so to us, it's most valuable to have people who are doing it day to day leading those type of calls. And then we have some of our best coaches lead the brand-wide coach calls. And so there's some multiple blended hats where they're running a location, but they're also offering support on the franchise side. So I really count those 9 managers as part of our corporate team.
Yeah.
And of course we have Karen, who's our president. She was yesterday was her 12-year anniversary, so she's been here a minute.
Shout out to Karen.
We've got Kyle, who's one of our few remote employees. He's in Boston. He's over all product. We have Jenny, who's our director of operations. We have Ethan, who's my marketing implementer. And so he and I kind of, I dream up the strategy. He pushes the buttons.
Execution.
Yep, execution. And I think that's Lauren, who's Karen and I's assistant. So that's her.
That's awesome. Yeah, I heard a rumor that you guys do a training once a week or once a month, like a sales training. And if like somebody's not meeting their quota or somebody doesn't hit their numbers, is that what it is? They have to do role playing with me. Is this true? You heard about this?
Yes.
I feel happy for you guys because I haven't had that call yet, but at the same time, I'm kind of anxious. I'm really excited.
Ready for one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we just, but then again, I don't want to root for it because that means you guys aren't hitting your numbers.
Yeah.
So basically, the idea is if they don't hit their numbers, and why is that? Are they nervous to role play with me? What's the...
Just find a way to up the ante. They don't want to have to go to the principal's office, right?
Oh man. So what do you look for in your studio managers as far as quotas go? And you don't have to say like exact quotas, but like what are the KPIs that they've got to run to? These are the things that you're in charge of here.
Well, from their whole job description, they're responsible for acquisition, retention, and administration. So acquisition, obviously on the sales side, they've got to do all the things from speed to response when a lead comes in to then, of course, the double dials and the texting and all that, the whole follow-up system, right? Then actually getting them in and performing the consult and the sales. And we like them to do the onboarding too, to really kind of move from, okay, I sold you, now I'm part of your program going forward. And then the administration side, they're in charge of everything that gym needs to do to run. They're over that staff, they're over the cleaning, they're over all the details, right? Mm-hmm. And then on the retention, they are charged with keeping that 5%. And so we've got a big KPI sheet that everybody reports on that rolls up tabs for each location. But at the end of the day, I think our biggest win is making sure not only the manager, but all the coaches know exactly what the gross revenue is to the day. And how close or how far they are from both quota and from goal.
Yeah.
And over the years, we've tried so many different things thinking they wouldn't understand gross revenue. They would think, oh, Force is making every dollar. Do we really want to show gross revenue? But at the end of the day, we've just brought them over to our side of the table and explained the business. And now everybody understands.
Yeah.
Whether I sell a new client or an extra bag of protein or save a client from renewing, every dollar counts.
Yeah. It's interesting when I've showed my team, like, hey, look, when you lose a client in your world, we lost $7,600, right? And we lost somebody that can refer us that person. And attrition, that 5% to 7%, somebody will look at, or even 3 to 4, let's say 3 to 4%, somebody will look at that and be like, oh, it's only a 1% difference. That's a 25% difference. It's a 25% difference between 3% attrition and 4% attrition. 3% keeps people for 33.3 months. 4% keeps people for 25 months. And you take those 8 months, that's different, and you multiply that by your 380, go ahead and do that on your phone and tell me how much money it's costing us to not keep at 4. Okay, now do that, multiply by the amount of members we have. That's what it's costing the business. Right. And this is what it's making if we can get that down. It's such a powerful way, because 3 to 5 doesn't sound like much to them, but it is a massive difference. It's a massive, massive difference.
And like you were saying on the 10% example earlier, when you're running 10% attrition, you're literally replacing your entire client base every year. That's exhausting as a business owner.
Yeah. And you don't think about it that way.
No.
And of course, because you're looking at your members that you've had for 3 years, and you're like, oh, but we got Chuck there. We had him for 3 years. Yeah, we have. We lost that one in 2 months. We lost that one in 3 months. We're not counting them because they're forgettable, because they haven't been around. It's easy to remember Chuck. Mm-hmm. Chuck's been here for 3 years, right? So, yeah, I love that we're talking more about that. All right. So you just came back from a trip. Was that right? Was that a work trip or a personal trip?
It was a bucket list trip.
A bucket list. What'd you do?
My wife and I went to Cancun for a Dave Matthews, Tim Reynolds acoustic 3-night set on the beach.
Dang. How was that?
It was amazing.
You got a fantastic tan.
I know. That was awesome.
I love that. And one of the things that I really hope a lot of people take away from the show, in fact, you know the real reason I started the GSD show?
What was that?
This might be the first time I've actually talked about it on the GSD show. The real reason I started the show is we started with these trainings first, right? Like we noticed, okay, how do we get people to be more successful? How do we give them some tools? And then we looked, because we could see in our database, people weren't using the tools. And then we asked them, hey, why aren't you using some of these tools? Oh, I already know how to do that. And I'm like, oh, man. And what we noticed was there's a pattern. The people that were the most successful never said, I already know how to do that. It was always the people that were struggling in anything that said that. So I was like, all right, what do we do? So I was like, what if we have a show where we bring people on and we always find a way to demonstrate that they constantly are learning, right? And so we started we would have questions like, so that's it. Obviously you got 19 gyms, you're making great money. Is that it? Done learning? You don't have to worry about it anymore? And invariably every single time they'd be like, oh, I feel dumber than I felt the first year.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're part of a bunch of different stuff, masterminds. You put your team through stuff too. What are some of the things that you and people on your team are a part of?
So loudrumor is a big one of them.
Yeah.
And we love to go to the events. We still use your resources online. Like that's a big part of it. I've got Karen in a separate mastermind group that Tim Lyons runs with a bunch of Iron Circle. So she's in Iron Circle. I do a lot with Garrett White at Wake Up Warrior. That's not fitness specific, but it puts me around a lot of big business owners, and it's all mindset 100%. Stuff. So really
I know quite a few of the people in that program with you.
You do.
Yeah, it was really cool when I found out you all got connected in there.
Yep.
Yeah, and what's your learning routine look like? Are you reading? Are you a podcast guy, a conference guy?
Little everything. Yeah, but yes, I'm always reading. Like right now, best book I've ever read, which is Beyond Entrepreneurship 2.0. If you haven't,
Beyond Entrepreneurship 2.0.
It was Jim Collins' first book, Beyond Entrepreneurship. He just rewrote it over COVID, and I'm telling you, Mike, it's phenomenal.
What is it about the books? I'm going to read.
If you like Good to Great, I think this is even better. I think it's more applicable to the small guy. Good to Great was I love it. But anyway, I won't belabor the point. But that's what I'm reading right now. I've always got a podcast going, and typically there's a conference on the schedule. So, it's all of it. And, even something we do for our teams, we just have an Audible account that we're constantly adding books to. They have free access to that, so they can get on our Audible account and listen to books, and we encourage that. And we make sure that they are growing in their continuing education budget every year. We just put 19.
You have one of those.
We do.
We have that now too. We call it the Stay Hungry budget.
And it's crazy.
It's really cool.
You have to track it and make sure they're using it.
Well, yeah.
Or they won't. We just put 19 coaches through Precision Nutrition. That's not a cheap certification.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, the way we have it set up is everyone's got a budget for the year. And then from there, they can, if they want to learn like Amanda who does video, she wants to take a course on how to do video or audio or anything like that. She can do that, or marketing. She could totally go through that. It has to be relevant to what they do. So like a cooking class, would it qualify?
Not so much.
Yeah. But then from there, our director of people actually takes a look at the course and then sees if she can get a better deal on it, or see if there's like another thing that we can go through. Because sometimes, first thing you find, it's like an $800 course, but then you look and you can find a way to get that same training for $29. So Yeah, it's really cool. I didn't know there were a ton of other people doing that. That's really good.
Yeah, we're big on that.
I love that. Well, Forrest, we got lunch. I know you're hungry. I'm hungry. If everyone's hungry, I've gotten so much value out of you, not just on this show. I really appreciate our conversations. I feel like you are one of the smartest guys in the industry.
Thank you.
Anybody that's listening is going, man, I feel like getting into a franchise and don't know what franchise to get into. It's all about the leader of that franchise, and there's some bad ones. This is a good one. So if you want to get in a franchise where it's like, okay, who's the leader? Do they know what they're doing? Am I going to be in position for success? He's one of the good ones. So thank you very much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me on, Mike.
Thanks, man.